The real question with this case was it self defense or was it murder? I want to know what your opinion is. On January 6, 2021, a man named Zachary Vermillion was on Whiteville Road in Jefferson County when he called the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and asked for an officer to come out in reference to an armed disturbance. According to the probable cause affidavit, Zachary Vermillion told police that he shot a man who had jumped in the back of his truck. When deputies got to the scene, they really nipped everything in the bud pretty quickly. All three individuals that were at the scene were taken in for questioning. Now, the three people at the scene were Zachary Vermillion, and a man and a woman who didn't seem to have anything really to do with what happened. The victim was Tony Jones, and Tony Jones was found in the back of Zachary Vermillion's truck. He'd suffered a gunshot wound to the head. So Tony Jones was found in the back of Zachary Vermillion's truck. He was laying face down, and under his body, police found a .22 caliber Derringer gun. A second weapon was also found in Tony Jones' possession. Now, Tony Jones was transported to the Jefferson Regional Medical Center before being transported to St. Vincent's Hospital in Little Rock, where he was pronounced dead about 4 hours after that initial 911 call. Police were able to get a look at surveillance video footage that came from a store across the street from Zachary Vermillion's home. Now, because of the location and the fact that this all happened just after 1 p.m. during the day, there was a lot of the incident that could be seen on the surveillance footage. So police were able to see Tony arriving at Zachary's home, and then they were able to see Zachary coming out of his house. Police were able to see Zachary Vermillion getting into his vehicle, which was a silver Ford with a trailer attached. They were also able to see Tony Jones walking to the back of the truck, to that trailer, and he started unhooking the trailer. At that point, Zachary Vermillion started backing his truck up, and Tony Jones first jumped onto the rear bumper, and then he climbed into the back of Zachary's truck and sat down. It's kind of odd the way that everything happened and the way police were able to see it on video. They saw Zachary pull up, park in front of his residence. A woman came out of Zachary's home, walked to the side of the truck like she was talking to Zachary, and then went back in the house. And then they saw him back up and drive across the street to the back of the store that was across the street. According to the affidavit for arrest, it says that Tony Jones picked up what looked like it could be a tire iron. It said that he didn't appear to be in an aggressive posture, but like a tire iron. Then Zachary drove away with Tony Jones still sitting in the back of his truck. Police got statements from Zachary and the male that was at the scene. According to the male that was at the scene, he said that he really didn't know anything about anything. He said that he got a call from Zachary, and Zachary was like, "Hey, where you at?" And he was like, "I'm on my way to Taco Bell." And Zachary was like, "Can you come to where I am, get my money, and get my kid's car seat because I'm going to jail?" The guy said he didn't know anything about what had happened up to that point. He just went to the scene basically because Zachary asked him to come help him out. Zachary Vermillion said that the truck that he was driving, the one that I referred to as Zachary's truck, actually belonged to Tony Jones. Zachary Vermillion had agreed to pay it to Tony Jones. He was making payments on it, but I guess Tony decided that he was going to come pick it up. It came out later that there was an issue with the truck because Zachary had arranged to buy it from Tony Jones, but he was supposed to be making payments, and Tony had an issue with, I guess, the timeliness of the payments. So maybe Zachary was like behind on the payments, but Zachary was like, "Fine, come pick up the truck, but let me take my stuff out of it." Zachary Vermillion said that's why he got in the truck and started backing up. But then Tony Jones jumped into the back of the truck. According to Zachary Vermillion, he was on the phone with his wife when he was at his house. He pulled up in front of his house, and his wife walked out of the house and brought him his pistol that he had asked for. Zachary Vermillion said that while all of this was going on, yeah, he was taken aback, but there wasn't any kind of altercation or, verbal argument that was going on at that time. According to Zachary Vermillion, while he was driving around, he was trying to throw Tony Jones out of the back of the vehicle. Tony Jones started hitting the back glass. Zachary Vermillion said he looked behind him and saw what he thought was a gun in the hand of Tony Jones. Then he was more afraid for his life. And then Tony Jones started bashing the back glass of that truck with a tire iron. At this point, Zachary Vermillion said that he picked up the firearm that his wife brought out to him and he fired some shots at Tony Jones. Zachary Vermillion said that he called the guy that was at the scene and told him what happened, and then he called 911. Police did find it strange that Zachary Vermillion said that he tried to call 911 prior to calling Anthony Becker, but that his call didn't go through. But he made all these other calls and he didn't have issues making any of the other calls. Zachary Vermillion was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and, of course, a firearm enhancement. In December of 2022, there was a jury trial on this case, and a lot of interesting information came out. Maybe not a lot, but some. So Zachary Vermillion's defense was that the shooting was self-defense. He was afraid for his life, and this was a way of protecting himself. So at trial, it came out that Zachary Vermillion had called his wife and told his wife that Tony Jones was trying to break that back glass open. And according to Zachary's wife, he sounded afraid during that phone call. It also came out that Tony Jones, like I said before, had two weapons on him, but those two weapons were both loaded. One was found under his body. I didn't see anything specifying where the second one was found, but it was on his person or in his possession. Another thing that came out at trial was that toxicology results showed that Tony Jones was incredibly high on methamphetamine at the time of this event, which could have accounted for his erratic behavior. Now, of course, Zachary Vermillion had no way of knowing that for sure at the time of the event. That's just something that came out later. But a person who is extremely high on methamphetamine, they have two weapons on their person. I don't know that I would have felt extremely safe either. But the real question is, does this amount to self defense? And according to a jury, they didn't believe that it did. They didn't find Zachary Vermillion guilty of first degree murder, but they did find him guilty of manslaughter. And for that, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the manslaughter plus 15 for the firearm enhancement for a total of 25 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Now, Zachary Vermillion has filed an appeal in this case, so we'll see what happens with that. But my question to you is, what do you think? Like, how would you have felt if you were in the position of Zachary Vermillion? Do you think that he should have been found guilty of a crime, or do you think this was a clear cut case of self defense?